My name's Maria White. I live in Glenside with my husband, Gavin. Gavin and I went to Abington Friends. Gavin is 6 years older than me, so Gavin and I did not know each other in high school. What actually happened was we both went to Temple and came back to our high school to coach softball and baseball, and our athletic director introduced us. And like 3 years later, we were married.
Everything seemed like it was so perfect, and I mean, I feel like we were married like a month into knowing each other.
My name is Jessica Gola, and I'm from Glenside, Pennsylvania. Me and Anthony met when we were 14 on a playground. It's kind of crazy, but I did tell him the moment that I met him that I was gonna marry him. And we've been together ever since.
She's like, gonna marry you, like you have no choice pretty much, so. And I was okay with it at the time. No, I'm just kidding, I'm still happy with it, I love her, she's the best.
So Jess is my best friend. I've actually known Jess probably since like middle school, but we didn't really get too close until we started our IVF journey. So maybe a year before Gavin and I started the process, I actually sold Jess and Aunt a house down the street. That was kind of the start of it all.
I would say me and Maria's relationship is very much like the friend soulmate, you know? You have your husband and then you have your best friend. Me and Anthony, we were the first friends in the group to get married. I wanted to have a baby on our wedding night, was ready. Anthony was like, let's take a minute. And at that time, Maria and Gavin were kind of going through for some fertility stuff.
So Gavin and I tried for probably 2 years.
You're around so many people where it's just like, they tried 1 month, they have a kid, and every kind of month that goes by, you get a little bit more frustrated and more frustrated. And after a year or two, we decided like, we should just get it checked out, see what's going on.
I went to my gynecologist. Everything looked okay on my end. So we said, okay, maybe Gavin should get a semen analysis. And Gavin had something called a varicocele. They scheduled a surgery and they said, look, one of two things is gonna happen. You know, the problem's gonna be solved and maybe get pregnant naturally, or it might not work, and then you have to think about the IVF process. I think that Gavin felt a lot of guilt that it was kind of male factor.
Maria has like a legit phobia of needles. Seeing her go through that because what seemed to be an issue with me was like really hard.
Maria was terrified of needles. I was a little bit of a, it is what it is, you gotta do it. So the first time Maria did injections, our husbands, we were all playing video games, which is totally out of character for me and Maria, but during COVID, you had to be friends the way you could be friends. And she had her first injection, and you know, naturally people turn to their husband, but we turned to our best friend.
This was for IUI. It was a very last minute thing from our fertility clinic, and Jess came down and Jess chased me around the house until I laid on the couch and she stabbed me. That first needle, I think, was the start of like both of our journeys together.
Most of Maria's shots, I would say, were done by me, but prepared me for being able to do them myself.
Like a year after marriage, we really started trying and nothing was happening, right? So she was like, let's figure out what's going on. And I found out that my numbers were pretty low. The doctor said your best bet's going into IVF.
We did a cycle of IVF, had 2 transfers. We took a pregnancy test and it was positive, and it was like the best moment of our life. I went and got blood work, they confirmed, it was positive, it was awesome. And from there, we told everybody, though they tell you not to, and we did all the things we needed to do, and it's finally over, and it's finally the moment we've been waiting for. So I was about 8 weeks pregnant, and the doctor had called and said our numbers had dropped, and that most likely we were going to have a miscarriage. I went home, cried with Maria, and then Anthony had come home from work, and our next mindset was just, all right, we have one more embryo, and we got pregnant again. But there is that little bit of caution. And this time was a little bit more difficult. I actually was walking into my godson's baptism, gifts in hands, and I got a phone call from the doctor. And they said the same thing, you're having a miscarriage. So I wasn't trying to sit there making the moment about me, but like, I could not breathe. It was a lot. We were like, okay, something's not right. Like, we need answers. And there were no answers.
Seeing her go through it, it was like, it was heartbreaking. It was really, really heartbreaking. And she stayed strong. Like, you know, I felt it was my fault, but Jess never made me feel like it was my fault. So like, she always had my back.
Yeah, I remember being like severely devastated when they had their miscarriages. My heart broke like very badly for them.
Gav and I started with intrauterine insemination. We did that probably for about like 6 months on and off.
And then finally we got to IVF, and that's when things, as scary as they were, started to look bright. I don't know if we've ever had a happier moment together than that moment when we actually realized that she was pregnant. But then you're also like scared because it's like, you got to get through the first trimester. We had seen what they went through, and that was really hard. I was still nervous until I saw her come out, you know. Then it was like when Riley was born, that's when I was finally like, we're good.
I thought that in my heart of hearts that I would be a boy mom, rough and tumble, playing with trucks, because that was what I knew growing up, being an athlete. But Rag changed all of that, you know, and we couldn't be happier. So I was meant to be a girl mom.
She's like the best thing that's ever happened to me by far. She's just funny, she's smart, she's everything.
There was no bigger fan than me and Jess when they got pregnant, and I know the same way. Like, they were pulling for us the whole time. It wasn't like oh, they got pregnant, we didn't get pregnant, like animosity kind of thing. Like, nah, like it was, we were so happy for them. He was very positive for me, and that was huge. We were always their biggest fans. They were always our biggest fans.
So after the 2 miscarriages, Maria was like, maybe you should consider another option. And she was having a really good experience where she was at. Completely different experience just from the first phone call and consultation. We truly felt, I think at that point, okay, we probably really have a shot and we're in the right place. Hearing her heartbeat for the first time was crazy. We went in for the ultrasound, and I remember the doctor we had been working with was like, what do you see there? And I had no idea what I was looking at, and I probably could have killed this. I was like, please just tell me what you see. I need to know, do we have a baby? Are we good? And we did. And Maria had actually just had Riley. And I called Maria and FaceTimed with her and Riley and told them Riley's getting a friend.
From, I guess, in May on, I was just talking to the stomach, Sophia. Like, I was calling her Sophia since she was like 2 months in her wound, so.
Sophia, she is sassy, she's funny, she is everything and more that we could ever imagine.
She's awesome. She's so much fun, just crazy, but just so loving. Like, just always has a happy look on her face, even when she's crying. I just want to just grab her and just squeeze her because she's just so cute and so fun and just so affectionate.
When you see kind of the parallel lives that somebody else is living, and you kind of have to merge and come together and really help each other out with stuff that you never thought you'd have to deal with. The process kind of as a whole really would have been that much more challenging had we not had each other.
You know, fertility journeys are something that can be very private. So being able to have your best friend, being able to talk about it and have somebody truly genuinely know what it's like was the best way we could have gone through IVF.
We are really, really lucky that the girls have each other. And I think that that's such a unique thing too. The fact that we have not only 2 children, but 2 daughters who I think are 7 months apart, who live down the street from each other, who can toddle to the park together and go in the swings. It's beautiful because it's a tradition. It's a continuation of our friendship and Gavin and Anthony's friendship. And seeing them, I think that's the most heartwarming part for all of us.